to the entertaining Talkin' Sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. Yeah, you're getting two videos from me today, even though it's been a bit of a dead time. Another thing I highly suggest everybody checking out is the video that Brett Coleman did breaking down Daniel Jones. It was an absolutely fantastic video. I've had a couple of my subscribers ask me to give my opinion on that. I'm going to kind of wait on that. I reached out to Brett. I would love to have him on the channel. Absolutely love that video. He's one of the best guys on YouTube at breaking down film. I thought he did a great job. I would love to have him on the channel to talk about it. So we'll see if he gets back to me. He certainly has a lot of subscribers, so I wouldn't blame him if he didn't. He's definitely a very busy guy, but hopefully we get to have him on the channel to talk about Daniel Jones. And if not, I'll definitely give my opinion on what he had to say in the video. But in this video, I'm going to talk about something that a lot of people have talked about with me in my Discord regarding the whole cornerback situation. Who's going to replace Deandre Baker if they move on? And at this point, I think it's probable that they will move on. The New York Giants have shown throughout history that they're a team that does not like to put up with nonsense. And of course, we'll have to wait and see. But with some of the new findings that have come out in this case, it would make me think that there's a decent to high chance that the Giants will no longer have DeAndre Baker on their roster at the start of the season. And I think it's definitely something that we have to take into consideration as New York Giant fans. Whether or not you think he's guilty or not, the longer that this case drags on, the more of a distraction it becomes to the New York Giants. As a matter of fact, this team did not even have Baker in the virtual meetings with the New York Giants because they didn't want him to serve as a distraction. And I know that he's been permitted to practice with the team, and we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. But I think it's leaning more and more to be likely that DeAndre Baker will not be with the New York Giants this season if, in fact, we have a season, and the New York Giants will have to find a replacement to be the second starting cornerback. The other question that it presents is, what does this mean for the future of Dave Gettleman? And if you watch my channel, I'm pretty pro Dave Gettleman. Now, I try to be as fair as I can. You know, there's definitely times where I've called him out. I've called him out on the Leonard Williams thing. And when it comes to this, I'm going to give my full opinion on the handling of this from Dave Gettleman in terms of trading up to get him and why I think it is fair to criticize Dave Gettleman for this move and why it may ultimately be one of the contributing factors why the Giants decide to move on from Dave Gettleman at the conclusion of the 2020 season, if there is one. Now, some of the options that the New York Giants can look to bring in via free agency, I've talked about it in the past, but you have guys like Brandon Carr. You have guys, of course, like Drake Kirkpatrick and Logan Ryan. The question is, how much will the New York Giants have in terms of cap space? We still have not signed our rookies to their contracts. The Giants right now have approximately $16.5 million in cap space, but you have to set aside about $10 million for the rookies that we have not signed, guys like Andrew Thomas, on our roster. In addition to that, we're probably going to be bringing back Marcus Golden. That's about a week away until we find out if he'll be back with the Giants on that $4.5 million price tag. And if he is, that doesn't leave you a lot of cap space. Now, of course, you can maneuver some things, and maybe some players like Nate Solder choose to opt out this year, and I'm not sure exactly what that will mean in terms of cap space, right? How much money will he be guaranteed if he opts out? How will it affect the cap? Of course, Nate Solder has a sick child at home. He's expressed that he's not fully comfortable playing this year, and I can't blame him, with the condition that his child has. So if he were to move on, that would free up some money, or at least I would assume it would free up some money. And maybe then you go out and bring in Logan Ryan. Or someone like that on the free agency market. And I think if the Giants could bring in a veteran, it would make sense. And if they don't have a lot of money, maybe you look to a guy like Brandon Carr. Brandon Carr's been around the league. Yes, he's 34 years old, but could be a stopgap cornerback this year. The guy's been very durable. I don't think he's ever missed a game in his entire career. Spent some time with the Cowboys, so could make some sense for the New York Giants if they were to elect to go that route, to at least bring some competition to the cornerback spot. But right now, I think the favorites are, if DeAndre Baker will not be back, I think it's clearly either Sam Beal or Julian Love. Julian Love, of course, a lot of people view as more of a slot guy or a safety, something that the New York Giants definitely need. We don't have a great coverage safety on this team, and I expect to see a lot of 3 safety sets. I would prefer him to stay in that role, but if we don't have a guy that we feel is good enough to play that second cornerback spot, Julian Love may be the guy that gets the opportunity. Of course, we still have Darnay Holmes, who played there as well with UCLA. So there's a lot of options for the New York Giants to replace DeAndre Baker with if and when they decide to move on from Baker, which is not a foregone conclusion. Like I said, we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. Innocent till proven guilty, but even with that being a fact, I don't think the Giants are going to want a distraction on this football team, like I said. So let's get to the crux of it and talk about Dave Gettleman. What does this mean for Dave Gettleman going forward, and how much is he at fault for what happened with Deandre Baker? Okay, I hold him responsible in terms of Deandre Baker's work ethic and in terms of things of that nature, falling asleep in meetings, not grasping the playbook, things like that, because I'm going to tell you why. Stuff has come out, and there were red flags before he was drafted that was not really reported on extensively by the New York media, that there were red flags with DeAndre Baker's work ethic and in terms of the culture, right? And that was Dave Gettleman's talking point. His major talking point with fixing this New York Giants team was improving the culture. It was a main reason why he supposedly traded Odell Beckham and got rid of a lot of the players on this football team. And I think we all agree, especially when you're hearing stories that are coming out with the New York Giants, that there needed to be a complete overhaul in terms of the culture with this team. I mean, you hear about the stories now coming out from former Giant Jeff Schwartz talking about how there were snitches in the locker room. Nobody felt comfortable there. You had guys like Odell Beckham going to the media talking about Eli Manning, along with a number of other players, right? So I get why the New York Giants did flip this roster. I think it was important. But when that is your main mission statement, you cannot then go out and trade up for a guy that is known to be a bit of a culture problem with Georgia. It just looks hypocritical. So I completely understand the reporters and the fans that are getting on Dave Gettleman for that. I think it's a fair criticism, especially because you traded up for him. And now after this, it looks that much worse, right? But putting everything aside with what's happened with the allegations with DeAndre Baker in the offseason, you still had his rookie season where, like I said, he was falling asleep in meetings, wasn't grasping the playbook, things like that. And it looks bad. Now, do I think Dave Gettleman should be fired for that? No. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that you could blame Dave Gettleman for what DeAndre Baker is being accused of doing. He could not have anticipated that, right? And sometimes in the NFL, you take chances, and general managers take chances. But we're going to be lying to ourselves as Giant fans, and if you're a fan of Dave Gettleman, at the conclusion of the year, if the Giants win 4 or 5 games, if this is not one of the reasons why they would move on from him, along with the Leonard Williams trade, along with the other questionable decisions that Dave Gettleman has made. Listen, I defend Gettleman a lot because I feel like sometimes he's bashed unfairly. I think he's done some good things for the New York Giants, and, he's definitely done some bad. He's made some head-scratching moves. I can't defend that, and we should have started this rebuild the first year that he was here. You could blame that on Gettleman. You could blame it on ownership. We'll never know the full answer. What Dave Gettleman has done good here, he's drafted well, and that is what I think that we needed when he took this job. Whether or not Dave Gettleman will be back with this team, I think it still depends on the team's record, right? Baker may have, the negative publicity that's come out from DeAndre Baker may have something to do with it. But at the end of the day, if the Giants go out there and they win 7 or 8 games and exceed expectations, I expect Dave Gettleman to be back. But if it's kind of in the middle, with this happening with DeAndre Baker, I think it is definitely a negative on Dave Gettleman's resume. And I think it's a fair criticism by fans. Now, for people that are going out there and criticizing him for the crime that DeAndre Baker is being accused of, like I said, did not commit, being accused of committing, that's not fair. That could not be anticipated. And, you look at the New England Patriots. They made several moves. They went out there, they brought in Aaron Hernandez, right, who ended up killing himself, but he went to jail for life, and he had a much worse track record in college. But the difference was the New England Patriots won with Aaron Hernandez on the team. But it still came out that he did bad things. Had the New York Giants been winning last year, nobody would be talking the way that they are. And that's part of the job with the New York Giants, and it's what Dave Gettleman had to know he was taking when he took this job. Fans are impatient. He took over a horrible situation. I continue to reiterate that. And I don't think any general manager would have been able to flip this team into a winning team within 2 years. It just doesn't happen. How many teams have winning years with a rookie quarterback? Which is why I defend Dave Gettleman sometimes from people that go out of their way to bash him. But he's definitely made some head-scratching moves, and it's going to come down to the performance of the team this year, whether it's fair or not. I personally think it's not fair to have expectations for this team to win 7 or 8 games this year, especially with the shortened offseason and the schedule that's been presented to the New York Giants. But some fans would definitely argue otherwise, and that's their opinion. I think 6 wins is a fair expectation. If the Giants win 4 or 5 games, he's not going to keep his job. And if they win 6 or 7, he may not either. We've seen that ownership has definitely caved to the fan base over the last couple of years, at least in my opinion. And if the fan base wants Gettleman out, maybe he won't be back. But I continue to stress be careful what you wish for, because if they bring somebody in, he may have a completely different game plan, and he may completely overhaul this roster, and then we're starting from scratch all over again. I just hope that is not the case, and we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. But yeah, is Dave Gettleman partially to blame for this? Sure. He definitely looks bad due to the fact that the Giants traded up to bring in Deandre Baker. I can't really get on him, though, for the crime that Baker committed. I think that is an unfair criticism. But in terms of the way that he acted in the locker room and not grasping the playbook, yeah, there were red flags when it came to that. And I get why people are on him, because of the fact that the New York Giants stressed fixing the locker room culture. But we'll have to wait and see how this year plays out. I'm hoping the New York Giants go out there, win 8, 9, 10 games, make the playoffs, and this is, we forget about DeAndre Baker and Julian Love steps up, or, whoever, Sam Beal steps up, remains healthy. We don't know yet, though. We don't know who's going to be that guy that could step up and be that valuable number 2 corner, something that the New York Giants will definitely need with this team. When you look at this defense and looking at Patrick Graham's defensive philosophy, you need strong corner play, being that the New York Giants, I anticipate, are going to blitz a lot more than a lot of other teams. And I've continued to say this entire offseason, I think that second cornerback spot is the X factor into whether or not the New York Giants defense can exceed expectations. And it does not look like it's going to be DeAndre Baker. So Julian Love, here's your opportunity. Or whoever, Sam Beal. They're going to have to step up and do a good job in that spot. As always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe. Drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.